Hi and welcome back. In this video we're talking about decorating functions that have parameters. We saw this in the last video, and once again let's recap what's happening here. We've got a function that returns the password for the admin panel is 1234, and that function does not have any parameters. We then decorated with the user has permission decorator, and what happens then is essentially this. My function equal user has permission my function. Right, so this function now gets modified and turned into this secure func function, which is what the decorator returns, this secure func. That secure function, though, gets the name and the doc string of the original function by virtue of this functools wraps. You can see, however, that when we call the original function, that's func, that's the original function that we passed in, the one we want to replace, there is nothing inside the brackets, so there are no parameters in the brackets. If we instead change my function to be something like panel here, and we say that the password for whatever panel we pass in is 1234, then we need to call the function with an argument. We could say, for example, print my function movies. Then it would be my function movies. Movies would go into panel, and we would print the password for the movies panel is 1234. This all makes sense. But we must remember, though, this function gets replaced by this secure func. This secure func inherits everything from the original function. But when we call the original function, it does not have any arguments here. Okay? So what we have to do is make sure that secure func has a parameter, so that when we call it here, it can accept the parameter. It can accept the argument, sorry. Again, my function is now secure func. If secure func does not have a parameter, we cannot call the function with a parameter. However, when we call the original function, we must also pass in the argument that it needs, like so. Now we can run this, but of course remember to change the access level to admin in order for it to do something. And we get that the password for the movies panel is 1234. So as you can see, secure func needs the parameter so that it can accept the argument, and the original function has to get the argument passed in, because that function has the parameter that we need in order to use it within the function. Okay. Now, the problem though with this is that you cannot apply this decorator to any other function. Again, if we create a function called another that returns hello, for example, we cannot apply this decorator to it. We cannot do that because the decorator is going to pass in the panel argument, but the another function is not going to be able to receive it. Indeed, if we use this, you'll see that we just get an error, and it says too many things. If we actually pass in an argument here, we get a different error which says another takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. The error before was because we didn't pass in the parameter that secure func needs. So here we get the error that another doesn't take any arguments, but you gave it 1, so what are you doing? So this is not great because the decorator now works for our function, but it doesn't work for another function. We'd like, ideally, to make our decorators more generic so that we can use them in any function we want. And we're going to be learning that, how to do that, over the next few videos. So with that said, I'll see you on the next one.